Fresh Films Industry Insights Season 2, a partnership with Paramount's Content for Change initiative. Be sure to subscribe, tap the bell, and like the video to see more. In this series, future creatives like you and me get to interview Hollywood pros who work at Paramount Pictures, CBS, Nickelodeon, and more. With that being said, I'm Alexia Anastasia, a Fresh Films alum and your host for today's episode, where we meet and talk with Alvin Patrick, executive producer for the Race and Culture Unit at CBS News. Please welcome Alvin Patrick. Can you tell us what your role is at CBS and what your job looks like on a daily basis?
My job is I'm an executive producer at CBS News. I specifically am in charge of the Race and Culture Unit. We basically do three things on a daily as well as a periodical basis. The first thing that we do is we screen every single story that comes out of CBS News and stations that has anything to do with race and culture. We work together with the Standards and Ethics Department to make sure that all of the stories that we do have the proper context, tone, and intention when it comes to anything concerning race and culture. The second thing that we do is we help other producers, as well as correspondents, other CBS News staffers, curate any story ideas that they have in the race and culture space that they would like to get on specific shows. And then the third thing that we do is we function as a production unit. We produce our own content.
What do you think inspired you to start your career in this entertainment and media industry?
Well, I know exactly what inspired me. I'm one of the few people that I don't have a meandering road. I have a very direct road when it comes to my career. When I was 16, I was a junior in high school and I took a media course. I remember thinking to myself what a powerful medium it is and how I would like to definitely make it my career. So from that moment on, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So I graduated and went to Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York, where I majored in broadcast journalism. I then got a Master of Fine Arts in television production from Brooklyn College. And then since the age of 23, for the last 34 consecutive years, I've worked in television consistently, from ABC to HBO to MTV to ESPN, and now it's CBS.
How do you think your work has contributed toward addressing social justice in particular?
To me, it's about information. I think that perhaps people of your generation are kind of in an activist mode and feel as if, if they go into journalism, they kind of go into journalism to make a change. That's not really my approach. My approach is to shed light on all sorts of things when it comes to social justice. It's about giving people the information. I think there's power in that information. So to me, the more informed we are as a community, that's my service. I report the truth, and sometimes the truth is seen as anti a progressive movement. Sometimes it's seen as anti a conservative movement, but it's all about giving people the truth, honest information. And to me, that in and of itself is a service, because I would hope that by shedding light on all of these things, that would be helpful to people and to help them to make their own judgments. As a journalist, it's not my job to make judgments for people, but it is my job to speak truth to power, to make sure that even those who are at the bottom of society have a voice when it comes to covering people who are not at the top of society. So it's information, and I see equity as an information flow more than anything else. That's my goal, and that's the service that I think I've been rendering for the last 34 years.
Well, moving more into the environment in which you work in, how is Paramount's Content for Change focusing on creating a more inclusive entertainment ecosystem for those creating content? And how do you think that change impacts your audiences?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. Look, I mean, content for change is a philosophy, and really what it's about is the representation that we see on the air and the stories that we tell so that it actually affects our content. And I know that one of the initiatives that George had was to make sure that at least 50% of the on air characters in our entertainment shows were people of color and diverse. And he actually achieved that in this past entertainment season. And for I think the 14th or 15th straight year, CBS was number one again in primetime entertainment. He also made a pledge to have more people behind the scenes, directors and producers and people who had the creative power as well as capacity to do things. And so I know he's committed to that. And what he did was to make sure that executives, that it was tied to their executive pay. And so it really motivated people to do it. And so all of that, the great news here is that it wasn't about quotas and it wasn't about, just checking a box. It was about giving real diversity and texture to to the type of stuff that comes out of CBS. There are a lot of different people with diverse voices, even in the entertainment sphere, that are giving real representation to our country. And the population of our country is much more diverse than what one would think if we only looked at media.
What responsibility do you think a news consumer has to seek out reliable news sources?
Well, I think that sort of goes back to what I consider my mission, right? My mission is to give you the truth and to give you the most information that you can possibly have to make the best choices that you can. And I guess I'm sort of depending on the fact that people would be listening to me and to my outlet and to trust that CBS News is actually giving them that type of information. But without question, consumers need to seek out sources that are credible. So I just told you about the lengths that CBS News goes through from a race and culture standpoint. But every story, it's not just the race and culture unit that is weighing in on every piece. Standards and ethics is weighing in on every piece. Legal is weighing in on every piece. Rights and clearances are weighing in on every piece. So there are so many checks and balances. But on top of that, I also told you I have a degree in broadcast journalism and a master of fine arts in television production. I'm trained to be a journalist, meaning that's my livelihood. To be honest, it's sort of an affront when consumers decide, well, people like Alvin, who were actually trained to be journalists, they're just the same as, Joe from Brooklyn on Twitter. It's it's a shame. And that's how we get so much misinformation running through our society.
I think it's great that you've always had your mindset on this and you've achieved all these goals. But in one sentence, what is one thing you would say to your younger self?
Oh, huh. Well, one thing that I would say to my younger self is not to sweat the small stuff. I was a little bit impatient and I wasn't really seeing a lot of the big picture. I sort of had my head down doing my thing and I expected rewards for the results that I was giving. But I realized over the course of my career that it takes more than that. It takes passion. It takes connecting with people. It takes, managing up as well as managing down. It takes a lot of different things to sort of build your career. But the other thing I would say to my younger self is to continue to do what I was doing back then, which is to keep value, to put the most value on the most important thing, which was reporting the truth. That is the one consistent thing that's always been with me. I've always been committed to reporting the truth. And I don't think that should ever change.
Well, as a final question, as a young storyteller looking to get into this media and entertainment industry, what are some of the most valuable lessons and or advice you've learned that you can pass along to me and to others?
Well, all I can tell you is I think that it's important, number one, that you have a passion for it, that you really, really want to do it. I mean, that's if you're talking about journalism. If you want to be a journalist, I think it's something that you have to be committed to because it's not glamorous. It seems glamorous. The titles are glamorous, and sometimes we go to glamorous places, but it's a lot of hard work. It's keeping a suitcase packed so that you can get on the next plane to the next disaster or the next tragedy. It is always keeping the focus on being truthful in your reporting and doing the right things. Those things sound like just phrases that we say, but it's actually hard to do that. And I would also say to think about getting your 10,000 hours, to not just look for whatever the next great title is, whatever the next big job is, but think about the work and the experience that you're gaining so that when you do reach the level that you want to reach to, that you'll feel comfortable and confident because of the experience that you've already gained. It's really about when you get to a point where you really feel as if you have honed your craft to the point where you can now not only do it at a very high level, but also lead other people in doing it. Get your 10,000 hours. Don't be afraid of hard work, and just really be committed to the craft because all those things are really important.
I just want to thank you so much for being here, and I really admire what you do, and thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time. I certainly appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to Fresh Films Industry Insights, a partnership with Paramount's Content for Change initiative. To see more episodes, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to be the one interviewing or to work with a film crew, then you might want to consider joining Fresh Films. Just visit freshfilms.org to learn more.